Thank you very much. Thank you, dear Eddie, for the wonderful hospitality and your leadership at this summit. And thank you, Olaf, for the excellent cooperation in the preparation, but also during this summit. We're here in Tirana working on bringing the Western Balkans and the European Union closer. But at the same time, the eyes of the world are now on Israel and Palestine. And our minds, too. There can be no justification for Hamas' heinous acts of terror, for the brutal slaughter of 1,400 people in Israel. In the face of this horror, Israel has the right to defend itself in line with humanitarian and international law. And right now, Palestinians in Gaza are in need of humanitarian help and aid. They cannot pay the price of Hamas barbarism. And this is why the Commission has announced to triple humanitarian aid for civilians in Gaza to 75 million euros. And we are launching an EU humanitarian air bridge to Gaza through Egypt. The first 2 flights will start this week. They will bring humanitarian goods to Gaza, and we will keep working with our partners in the region to assess and address the needs on the ground. Now, turning to our work here today. Last year I said that Albania at the helm, the Berlin process would be in good hands, and I was right. So thank you very much, Eddie and Olaf, for the very good exchanges and for a very successful summit. But a lot remains to be done. We need to bring our economies even closer, and we need to speed up the reforms for accession. And this is why I presented to leaders our growth plan. The new growth plan has the potential, if implemented, to double the size of the Western Balkan economy still in this decade. It has 4 pillars. The first pillar of the plan is bringing the Western Balkans into the single market. We basically open the door of the single market in 7 key areas for the Western Balkan companies already now. Just to give you a few examples on customs cooperation, e-commerce, cashless payments, road transport, electricity, roaming, just to name a few. Now, the second pillar is that the Western Balkans themselves have to complete their common regional market. If they complete their common regional market, this could increase the GDP of the Western Balkans by 10%. So the Western Balkans also need to open to their own neighbors, to the 5 neighbors and partners, their own markets. The third pillar is reforms. If we want to give access to the Western Balkans to the European single markets, of course there needs to be a level playing field, the same rules and standards. This means reforms are necessary. And these reforms also bring the Western Balkans closer to membership. These reforms will also make the Western Balkans even more attractive for European investors and make our respective economies, which is very important, converge. Because today we have a situation where the Western Balkan economies are at 35% of the EU average. So there needs to be lots of work to be done to have more convergence of the economies. And finally, the 4th pillar of the plan is if reform efforts are being done, they will be matched by increased EU funding for investment. In other words, we have proposed a 6 billion investment package. This is composed of 2 billion in grants and 4 billion in loans. And this same logic applies like in our investment plan Next Generation EU for the member states. That is investment and reforms. Funds will be relieved upon delivery of reforms. So it is conditional. It works very well in the European Union. I'm deeply convinced it will work in the Western Balkans too. Thank you again. This has been an excellent summit. We want to move forward and we want to move faster. Let's seize the moment.